really want to get into more of the Epstein stuff. A lot of people have been talking about it, but what I want to do is kind of come from the data angle, not just opinion. A lot of people sit there and they say, Trump this, Bill Clinton that, the Democrats are guilty, the Republicans are guilty, whatever it may be, right? I don't want to take that angle. I want to see what's actually out there. So I'm going to start with this. So we have Wikipedia, and we know anyone can contribute to this. So is this 100% truthful and perfect and honest? I don't know. But what we see with Epstein is he was a teacher, he cultivated elite social circle, and he procured women and children who he and his associates sexually abused. Federal officials identified 36 girls, some as young as 14 years old, whom Epstein had allegedly sexually abused. He was convicted in 2008 for child prostitution and soliciting a prostitute. And then he was convicted of 2 crimes as part of another plea deal. So we know he's guilty. We know that the people that he's in these circles with do these type of things, or he tries to get them to do these type of things. He was arrested again on federal charges for that word, what I can't say on here because they'll kill the stream, of minors in Florida and New York. And he died in his jail cell, which is also controversial. They said it was suicide by hanging. Others don't believe it. And obviously we know that there was some footage time that was missing from the officially released video. So that's a whole different issue in itself. So yeah, 2 minutes and 53 seconds was missing. And then Epstein had a decades-long association with the British Ghislaine Maxwell. So this woman here is the one that supposedly is getting like VIP treatment in jail. And I think she is asked to be pardoned by Trump. So she was kind of the handler. It seems like she was the one that would actually find the girls and the women and then kind of set these things up. And there's some emails between them, and that's what was released. And then he was also a renowned social networker whose vast network included business people, royalty, politicians, and academics. His friendships with public figures like Donald Trump, Bill Clinton have attracted significant controversy, which is where everything comes from, right? That's where all these issues are. But also, now we hear that he was supposedly Mossad and maybe CIA, and also maybe somehow a Russian intelligence agent. So in the Wikipedia, it says during the 1980s, Epstein possessed an Austrian passport that had his photo, but with a false name. And of course, if you're an agent or a spy, that's the kind of stuff you would expect. The passport showed his place of residence as Saudi Arabia. In 2017, a former senior White House official reported that Alexander Acosta, who handled Epstein's criminal case, stated to interviewers of President Trump's first transition team, quote, "I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone, and that Epstein was above his pay grade." So they were basically told, like, this guy's untouchable. So that's kind of where things are at. She was played for commutation, verified. Okay. Yeah, so we kind of know who he is, right? He tried to set people up. Sounds like he was some kind of agent of some sort, possibly from multiple different countries, which is a whole different thing that we'll talk about here in a minute. So I want to cover the emails a little bit. A lot of people are just saying, Trump's guilty, burn him. And I don't know. Let's see. And just so people know, I'm not left or right. I just look for the truth. I think all politicians are inherently liars. They kind of have to be. That's kind of the nature of it. But late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. So that we're covering this email here. Now, there's a few things about it that were off to me. So first thing, we have Gmax. That's just Ghislaine Maxwell. And then we have, looks like G Vacation at Gmail. So that's supposed to be Jeffrey Epstein. Now, what's weird about this is if he is, he was a multimillionaire, possibly a billionaire, had tons of companies, finance expert, got paid huge fees by all these people, was in intelligence communities, which kind of came out today about Mossad and different things. So why is he using a Gmail? He's using like the most basic unsecure email that you can use. So he's using GEE evacuation or gvacation at gmail.com. Now I can tell you, if I was an agent, I would not be using Gmail. There's VPNs, there's things like photon.me where you can completely hide and spoof your location and your Gmail. So that to me is a red flag right there that this is kind of invalid, but let's keep going. So we have, I've been thinking about that. Now here's one of Epstein's. I want you to realize that the dog hasn't barked. Is Trump victim? So they redacted that, and they say it's this woman that we'll talk about here in a minute, who has already said that Trump had nothing to do with it, didn't do anything, and was respectful to her and never did anything sexual with her. The one who she unalived herself, right? That's what they said. And her father and everyone else said there's no way that she did that to herself. So that victim supposedly spent hours at the house with Trump and the police chief, etc., and whatever, right? But here's the issue. Look at this. Look at how this is typed out. So I have been thinking about that, using punctuation, capitals. He uses zero capitalization, almost no punctuation in the wrong spots, like this double comma. And then it looks like this to me, it looks like it's generated. This is what I see sometimes from bots. Like in the comments today, if you look in there, you might see some bots. It just looks off. It doesn't look like it's legitimate to me. Now, I'm not saying that nothing happened. I'm not saying that Epstein and the different people that he took to these islands and these parties and stuff aren't guilty of something. But I'm saying this email to me looks contrived. So between the way that looks and the fact that he's using just a basic, everyone can see it, everyone can see everything that you send Gmail, I'm not buying it. But let's keep going. So same thing here. You have that, the very, very bad grammar, weird spaces, double periods. No one does that, right? Like there's no one who's typing on their phone and they're so bad that it looks like that. Just doesn't seem realistic to me. But going down here, so when asked by PBS News about these exchanges, White House Secretary Carolyn Leavitt says the Democrats selectively leaked emails to the liberal media to create a fake narrative to smear President Trump. We all know that, okay? She alleged that the unnamed victim referenced in these emails is Virginia Giuffre, and she is the one who, in a book, in multiple communications, I believe also in interviews, and on the record officially, said that Trump didn't do anything to her. Never touched her, never even flirted with her. That's what she said. That's her words. And then, of course, supposedly she unalived herself. Kind of strange, right? And she repeatedly said that Trump was not involved in any wrongdoing whatsoever. Okay? The fact remains that Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club decades ago for being a creep to his female employees, including Jeffrey. These stories are nothing more than bad faith efforts to try to distract and that kind of stuff, right? So, of course, she's going to defend. Maxwell's legal team and Wolf. So Wolf is, I believe, is an author or something, or another correspondent of Epstein's, who was trying to get Epstein to set Trump up. And that came out as part of these emails as well. And now that's a whole another thing that they're looking into, and we'll cover that here in a second. But Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell, her legal team, and Wolf have not yet responded to any requests for comments about these exchanges. So this has been released, but no one's confirming that this is real or valid. Trump has not been accused of wrongdoing in connection with the Epstein case, but the relationship has been under scrutiny. Okay, so now if you look at who Epstein is or was, it makes perfect sense that anyone who would deal with him or spend any time with him should be questioned, right? If you have a friend who is doing crime, extreme crime in this case, young girls and things, you should not spend time with them. You probably shouldn't even be friends with them. So you have to question that piece of it. And then you look at earlier this week, a whistleblower shared information with the House Judiciary Committee that Maxwell was receiving special treatment at the prison she was moved to several months ago. Last month, Wolf sued First Lady Melania Trump, alleging she had threatened him with a lawsuit to silence him from writing about her connections to Epstein. So this is that same Wolf, right? And this guy has been out to get Trump for a very long time, way before these emails and things were leaked or whatever this is, whenever the timing was. He's just kind of had a thing against Trump for a very long time. So is this legitimate? Could be. I mean, it's hard to tell. But the fact that she's getting special treatment in prison, and I think she is asked, like someone said, I think here in the comments, they might pardon her, right? I'm assuming that she lasts that long. I'm just looking at questions here. Goldie Cat, I wonder if they got anything on Chuck Schumer. Would be nice to get rid of the APAC crowd. I think there are some things that are being assumed, I guess, about that situation with Chuck Schumer. I know a lot of people like, Benny Johnson and those guys are looking into that stuff. Let's see. Wilvis confirmed the emails are real. Epstein's brother confirmed the ones too from him are real also. Okay. And that's confirmed with proof, or they just said it was real? Like, do we have their official records from the company? Do we have official court leaks and things of the digital property that shows that? Or did they just come out on X and say that it was real? Not to negate your comment, I'm just curious, because whenever it comes to this kind of stuff, there's a lot of hearsay, a lot. All right. So moving on to this. This was interesting too. I just kind of went around and I'm just looking for things that are, pro and anti-Trump and Epstein and everything. So this post here says a panel of Epstein victims claim they never saw Trump do anything inappropriate. Super short.
I do have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
I do have to ask, and I...
Are you able to hear that video? Because I have a lot of other videos, and I want to make sure this is working before I start moving on. Yes? Okay. All right. So this is a panel of victims, and they're saying that they never saw anything. Right now, this isn't definitive because it's just a panel of people. This is like a small handful of all the different girls, and apparently there's some guys in there as well that were victims. So this panel here specifically says no. And this is, as you know, NBC is anti-Trump. So I don't think that's the answer they wanted, but that's the answer they got. But this isn't just the U.S. It's not just Trump. Apparently, the Clintons have also been indicated in this pretty heavily. But Prince Andrew, and I'm sure, hopefully you've seen this. A lot of you follow the news and watch a lot of different channels with information. But Prince Andrew will stop using his Duke of York title, and he has denounced the throne. I think he was forced to by King Charles. And the decision was taken in discussion with the king. As I've stated previously, I vigorously deny the accusations against me. His former wife, Sarah Ferguson, will no longer be known as the Duchess of York. But the interesting part is he later paid a substantial sum to Epstein abuse survivor Virginia Giuffre, who alleges that Andrew sexually abused her when she was 17. Andrew has repeatedly denied the allegation, and Giuffre, they say she died by suicide, of course. Giuffre's family on Friday called the decision a vindication for our sister and survivors everywhere. So he's not guilty. He's saying that he's innocent, but he paid a substantial sum to her. And then she, strangely enough, got hit by a bus, which is what a lot of people, that's initially what happened. She was kind of like in the middle of the Australian outback somewhere and got hit by a random bus. And then while in the hospital, she had a tweet where she basically said that she only had a couple of days to live, which, how would you know you only have a couple of days to live if it was a medical thing? And then all of a sudden she's unalived herself. Her family says she 100% did not do it herself, but we don't know. You heard Clinton was flying the plane to the island. Yeah, this is definitely mini flights. So people, yes, there was like politicians. Obviously, there were kings and people, from overseas and prime ministers and stuff like that. But also, a lot of people have been indicated in Hollywood. There's been a lot of actors and actresses who have taken dozens, if not over 100, flights to that island. So they clearly know what's going on there. Now, if you went once or twice and you saw something sketchy and you left, that's different. But if you're a repeat customer, then obviously you like whatever's there. And tons of people indicated in this. Looking at questions here. Yep. All right, so this was interesting. And if any of you can confirm this or deny this, that'd be great. But David Schoen, he's saying that he was hired as the defense criminal lawyer 9 days before Epstein died. He says, he sought my advice for months before that. I can say authoritatively, unequivocally, and definitively that he had no information to hurt President Trump. I specifically asked him. And this has 10 million views. And of course, you have people, the first comment that is saying it's a bad post or whatever. But if this is true, then David Schoen is saying that he already asked Epstein and he didn't have anything specifically against Trump. Now, I can't say that Trump is innocent, but I can say that there hasn't been proof of anything yet. And that's technically true for Clinton and some of the other people as well. But when you start seeing stuff like Prince Andrew paying off Guthrie, basically to silence her, it would seem, then you start seeing that maybe people are feeling guilty and they're trying to cover themselves. But as of right now, there is no proof. There's just people saying, oh, he was indicated, so he must be guilty. Clinton was indicated, so he must be guilty. Well, we don't know. There's no proof at this point. So now Trump is basically turning this all upside down. Now that the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax, let me share this. I'm not sharing the screen. Here we go. Now that the Democrats are using this Epstein hoax involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try and deflect from their disastrous shutdown, I'll be asking Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement with relationship to Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions. This is another Russia scam. So, in typical Trump fashion, he's going to try and flip this around and basically put it on them. But now what's happened is, if you look online and you look into a lot of the other channels, they're already reporting that they're finding all kinds of stuff about these people. Proof of things. Whereas with Trump, it's accusations, but no proof. I don't know. And then also Trump had a emergency meeting that everyone assumes was about this in the Situation Room, about the Epstein files. And people say that he's threatening. They're just guessing, but they're saying that he's threatening these people in the Situation Room so that they don't allow it to be released or they don't talk about it, whatever it may be. Again, there's no proof of that. And then we have stuff like this. And this is why, like I said, the right and the left both lie. All politicians, they might start off meaning well, and then the longer they are in there, the more they have the lobby and different stuff and get paid off by people, and then they kind of become puppets, right? This post, and I've seen this other places too, there was a post that the Democrats did saying documents show Donald Trump spent Thanksgiving with Jeffrey Epstein in 2017. Trump was president. Epstein was already convicted sex offender. That's been deleted. So X took it off because it was proven to be incorrect. And now it's starting to come out that there's a lot more stuff like this. A lot of factual information that came from the Democrats about Trump specifically that was incorrect or was a blatant lie. And it's starting to be redacted and deleted. But then on the flip side, now you have like the Clintons being indicated in some stuff, some crazy stuff, and some of that stuff's being proven. So I just think it's interesting how it kind of flipped. But now there is a probe, an official probe into specific people, including the Clintons, that Trump has called for.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has chosen a prosecutor to investigate people and companies associated with Jeffrey Epstein, quickly obeying a public request from President Donald Trump. Bondi writes this, quote, "Thank you, Mr. President. SDNY U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton is one of the most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country, and I have asked him to take the lead," end quote. That in direct response to this announcement from President Trump, which came less than 4 hours before. The president wrote this, quote, "I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, J.P. Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions," end quote.
So as you can see now, there's an official probe. So it's interesting that Trump was kind of leaving this alone. People said that the Trump administration was kind of holding onto these files and wouldn't release them, which indicated that he was guilty and all these different things, and he could be. But it's interesting now how there's, because of that, because they were attacking that side, now he's flipped it, and now he's going after them with the Department of Justice. And then this is where it's kind of interesting. So Benny Johnson, definitely go check it out if you have time, but he had a video talking about how Epstein was indicated as being Mossad. And a lot of people are saying that he was maybe CIA. So this video here on Power to the People, I won't play, I'm not going to play it because it's 10 minutes long, but go check this out and just kind of hear how these people are talking about him in the intelligence community. And we had that Wikipedia post that I showed you that said that he had multiple different passports with different names, saying he lived in different countries. The amount of money that he's made makes no sense for what he was doing. Let's see, I heard Bill Clinton was mad with Israel once he realized they were honeypotting him. If that's true, that would be understandable. I think a lot of people are feeling that way currently, just in general about all this stuff. I think some people felt like they were safe, and now this stuff's coming out, and people are being indicated. So, not a good look. All right. So this is a piece of Benny Johnson, and I'll just play a short section of it so I don't get like a copyright issue or something, but just kind of listen to what this guy says.
That with the new reporting about how closely Jeffrey Epstein was operating with the nation state of Israel and how he was, I mean, it's become quite clear now. The conspiracy theory is that Jeffrey Epstein was just some weirdo who was good at running numbers. Now the proof is that he was clearly running some type of large-scale industrial op for foreign intelligence, right? Am I going crazy, Viva, or no?
No, I think people are going to accuse me of trying to defend Israel here, which I'm not. I say it's not only Israel; it's all intelligence. I mean, once he's being used by the CIA, because he's being used by the CIA, and this is something that people don't talk about. Everybody wants the files going after the FBI. The CIA might be where you go to get the documents on Jeffrey Epstein. He was working with, if not with intelligence, quite clearly he was working with intelligence, and the only question is who he was blackmailing. People say it's a conspiracy theory. There's literal, black and white evidence that he was trying to blackmail Bill Gates. And you say, well, not for intelligence. Who the hell? You keep moving these goalposts, not you, but the world.
Now that's an interesting point. So you have people like Bill Gates. So let me just paint this picture. So you have all these very powerful people in the world, and then you have someone like Jeffrey Epstein. I have a few questions here I wrote down so I don't forget them. Okay, so first question. Why are people hyper-focusing on Trump? Let me switch this view here really quick. So why are people hyper-focusing on Trump, but all the other Republicans and Democrats that have been implicated and have stronger evidence against them, like the Clintons, such as taking dozens of trips to Epstein Island, like Bill Clinton has specifically, how come they're not being attacked by all these channels? If you go online, you're basically just seeing anti-Trump stuff, even from the right, which is interesting, even from like MAGA crowd. So there's other people who are more indicated with evidence, and they're not being attacked the same way. And then you have the fact, this is the thing that blows my mind the most. So Epstein worked, from what it sounds like, for multiple intelligence agencies, allegedly including possibly Mossad, the CIA, and even Russian intelligence. At one point, people were saying that he was trying to set up some kind of meeting with Putin and Trump back then. So how did he have the pull and importance to make this happen? Like if you look at his Wikipedia page, he was a financial guy. So he took fees from companies to do financial stuff for them. And clearly he had his little side business with the underage girls and the women. So how does someone like him seemingly have power over nations? And they could have taken him out at any time, yet he was able to keep what he was, keep on doing what he was doing, blackmailing people, setting people up. And once you have something like that, like video of a prime minister or a world leader with a underage kid, you can basically make them do whatever you want. And that's why some people are saying that Trump might be compromised. Maybe there is something on him And that's why some of the decisions he's making and some of the things that he's doing are because someone has some dirt on him and he's trying to keep them happy so they don't release it. I don't know. What do you think about that? And it seems like Epstein played everyone. He was playing both sides. But another interesting thing is, think about this. If the Democrats specifically, because this is the main story that's out there, is that Trump was indicated. So if the Democrats sat out there and they've had all this information, they've had all these emails, they had the government the previous 4 years. So they had all that information. If he was actually indicated, like they say he is, and they have access to all the photos and videos that Epstein had, then they would have 100% definitive proof that he did something. And they would not have wasted time. They would have released that immediately. They would have tried to put him in jail, try and ruin his career, prevent him from being president. But that hasn't happened. And some people are saying it's because maybe there's too many of the Democrats or of people on their side or them personally indicated as well. So if they actually release everything, then Trump won't be the only one in trouble. So it's pretty crazy.